Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Barlow. I'm an attorney with Cohen, Tucker, and Adis. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about asylum. I know we've discussed this topic before, but I think it's good to have a revamp just because of some new things that we're hearing, essentially, what I'm seeing in consultations, what my colleagues are seeing in consultations. So I figured it would be good to have a refresher and a little discussion on what is and isn't asylum and some other little technical things related to it. So first off, asylum. What is it? Asylum is a form of an application you can file if you are physically in the U.S. or at a port of entry. Or so, for example, if you entered with a visa and you're afraid to go back to your home country, you can file for asylum. If you're at a port of entry, like an airport or a land crossing, you can also request asylum. Now, depending on where you are, and how you file is going to how the process works. That's a topic for another day. But briefly speaking, since most of our issues seem to be coming from asylum applicants who are coming across the southern border, I'm going to focus on some issues we're seeing there. So first and foremost, some individuals who come across the southern border to seek asylum are being given either a reasonable fear interview or a credible fear interview. The type of interview depends on your immigration history. So if you've previously been deported, you would likely have a reasonable fear interview. Whereas if this is your first time, never been deported, you'll have a credible fear interview. These interviews are not the actual asylum interview. All they are is an interview to assess whether or not you have in a full-blown proceeding, would you be able to establish that you've been subjected to or have a well-founded fear of persecution or torture? If you are successful with a credible fear interview, that does not mean you've been granted asylum. I want to make that 100% clear. That means you're going to be essentially allowed into the U.S. to continue the process. Now, you can only be granted asylum after either an affirmative asylum interview with an asylum officer at an asylum office. There's several of them across the country. Or you could be granted by an immigration judge. Okay? Up until that time, you do not have asylum. And the reason I'm saying this and stressing it is we're seeing a lot of individuals who have had these interviews and or they've filed an asylum application and they've gotten a work permit and they're saying, I've been given asylum. I had one person the other day who wanted to come in and file for permanent residence already because it's been a year. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You have to be an asylee for a year, not just have an application pending. They did not seem to understand that just the filing of the application alone did not give them asylum. So please understand that if you file an asylum application, that does not mean you've been granted asylum. That just means you let the U.S. government know that you want to apply for asylum, and you will have either an interview or a court hearing where you will discuss why you cannot go back to your home country. Until that time, and until the judge or asylum officer hands you a piece of paper saying your application has been approved, you do not have asylum in the U.S. Some other things to keep in mind about asylum. A lot of people come in and they say, I want to file for asylum. We get to talking about the circumstances, and they don't really have an asylum claim. Asylum is for those who have a well-founded fear of persecution in their home country, based on either nationality, race, religion, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. Asylum is not a fix for every bad problem in a country. So, for example, my country is experiencing high crime right now is not necessarily going to make you eligible for asylum. Or my country's at war right now. So, for example, if you're from Ukraine and unfortunately, it is tragic what is happening in Ukraine, what Russia is doing. But at the same time, that is not necessarily grounds for asylum. I had someone recently from Israel, and I had to explain that they also do not have a claim for asylum. Asylum is individualized. It is not something that's, necessarily geared towards it's happening to everyone. Yes, there is an aspect that if you can show a group is being persecuted and you're part of that group, yes, that does help your asylum claim, but just general conditions in a country do not. It's not a fix for every problem. And I know there's a lot of people who want to come, they want to, have the quote unquote American dream, but asylum is not necessarily the best path for you. Some other things that we are seeing again, once you filed for asylum, until you have either an immigration judge's order granting your application or a letter from the asylum office granting your application, you are not an asylee. You're just pursuing an asylum application until that time. If you are in removal proceedings, you will be testifying in front of a judge. You will be explaining why you can and cannot go back, why you cannot go back to your home country. And you will also be expected to provide supporting evidence. I know there's a lot of free resources out there. There's some great programs. New York City has been helping a lot of individuals fill out applications, get them filed. That's great, but the application is not the end of this. There is more to come. There is a hearing where you will have to testify about why you need to stay in the U.S. You will be expected to provide evidence. You will be questioned by the immigration judge as well as the government attorney. If you're claiming that you are politically active in your home country, you're going to be expected to produce documentation to corroborate that. Do not take it lightly. This is not something that you should be, you should not do this on your own. This is best to have the assistance of someone, either a licensed attorney, or there are some agencies that are authorized to help individuals before the immigration court, such as like Catholic Charities. So there's some great stuff out there, but just make sure you're getting the right help. And again, I am not the New York City program. I've seen several applications that have been completed with their assistance. They're very helpful. They've gotten a lot of people their applications filed and submitted, but that's all they pretty much do. They do not provide actual representation in court, and there is a difference between that. Short of that, I get it. You may not want to go back to your home country. There may be many reasons. Sit down and talk to someone, because if you file an application for asylum that is deemed to be frivolous, that will trigger a permanent bar to any immigration benefits. So, you've heard if I say I'm gay from this country, I can get asylum. Well, if you're not gay, now you have a big problem because you've lied to the U.S. government and you're going to trigger a permanent bar. That's all I have on asylum today. I will add one little friendly reminder that's not asylum related. USCIS has published the final rule on filing fees. They will be set to, for the most part, increase. There are a few that are decreasing, but for the most part, all fees will be increasing as of April 1st of this year. Why am I reiterating this? One, it's going to cost you more. Two, if you file after with the wrong fees, your application is going to be rejected, leading to delays. And three, if you've been thinking about doing it, now is the time, because the fee increases are not just $5 or $10. In most cases, the increase is several $100s. So it is going to cost a lot more to request immigration benefits. As always, if you have any questions about anything we talked about or anything else related to immigration, please feel free to contact Cohen, Tucker, and Adis. Our number is 212-840-0050. You can also find us on our website, which is www.cohentuckerlaw.com. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoyed this, and you have a great day.